Welcome to HUD's Section 3 Final Rule Overview for Public Housing Financial Assistance. This first video will help grantees understand the purpose of Section 3 and the goals behind the updates to the Section 3 Final Rule requirements outlined in 24 CFR Part 75. First, let's review what Section 3 is and the purpose behind Section 3. Section 3 is a requirement of the Housing and Urban Development Act of 1968. The purpose of Section 3 is to ensure that employment, training, and contracting opportunities that result from the spending of HUD funds are directed to low and very low income persons, especially recipients of government assistance for housing, like public housing residents or residents that receive Section 8 assisted housing. Each year, HUD invests billions of federal dollars into distressed communities across the country for projects that build and rehabilitate housing, improve infrastructure, and help families achieve self-sufficiency. Through Section 3, HUD recipients and their subrecipients, contractors, and subcontractors provide the opportunity for low and very low income families to achieve and maintain self-sufficiency. The previous Section 3 regulations were outdated and not as effective as HUD believed that they could be at creating sustained employment and career development opportunities. So HUD updated the rule and published the final rule requirements on September 29, 2020. The new rule became effective on November 30, 2020, and on July 1, 2021, compliance with the final rule began. The new rule published updates to HUD Section 3 requirements in 5 ways. 1. By focusing on labor hours, the new rule promotes sustained employment and career development for low and very low income workers. 2. Focuses reporting on outcome metrics. 3. Streamlines reporting requirements to align them with typical business practices. 4. Provides for program-specific oversight. And 5. Clarifies the obligations of entities that are covered by Section 3. Overall, with the update, HUD's goal is to 1. Increase the impact of Section 3 on low and very low income persons. 2. Increase compliance with Section 3 requirements. And 3. Reduce regulatory burden. Legacy projects are projects where contracts were executed or projects for which assistance or funds were committed prior to November 30, 2020. Legacy projects are required to adhere to the requirements of the old Part 135 rule. Commitment means when funds were received by the recipient from HUD. For legacy projects, recipients will still be expected to maintain records of compliance, but will no longer be required to report Section 3 compliance to HUD in SPEARS. Transition projects are projects where assistance or funds were committed between November 30, 2020 and July 1, 2021. These projects are subject to the new Section 3 regulations, and recipients will need to follow the final rule for new grants, commitments, and contracts that are executed during the transition period. For transition projects, recipients will be expected to maintain records of compliance with Section 3, but will not be required to report to HUD on the requirements found in 24 CFR Part 75 during the transition. During the transition period, PHAs or other recipients of public housing financial assistance were expected to plan and revise processes, systems, and documents, update policy and procedures for tracking labor hours, review new and existing contracts to determine need for modification to report labor hours, update internal reporting systems, processes, and procedures, retain documentation showing compliance with the new rule, develop plans to brief tenants and contractors on the final rule, and consider training and technical assistance needs.